Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. Today we're doing a What's Next on the undefeated, reigning, unified heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk, following his 12-round split decision victory in a rematch with Anthony Joshua on Saturday, August 20th as a headline at the DAZN card. This was a big win for Usyk. It left no doubt that he's the better man over Anthony Joshua, and potentially is going to lead him to a super showdown for the undisputed title with Tyson Fury. Now, we don't know that for sure, but we're going to see. But it kept him right at the top of the heavyweight division, holding on to 3 of the 4 belts. Big time win for Usyk right here. He really needed it. He boxed well. Faced a little more adversity this time. I think Joshua definitely fought better. But, I think he won the fight, I'd say about 8 rounds to 4 this time. Last time, I think it was more of a 9-3, 10-2 type thing. This time, I see more in the 7-8, maybe 9 rounds if you want to be generous. I thought Anthony Joshua did enough to probably win about 4, maybe 5 rounds. But Usyk definitely, with his head movement, boxing ability, he's just such a hard guy to fight, and he's got such a tough skill. So now the big question is, what's next for the undefeated, reigning, unified heavyweight champion? Well, we're gonna see. We'll run through the top 10 and see what possibly could happen for him if he doesn't fight Tyson Fury, or if he fights Fury, what he would do after that. So let's look at that potential showdown with Tyson Fury. That's the fight everybody wants. That's the fight that's being discussed right now. From what I'm hearing is that both sides are okay with the split, and they're going to do 50-50 down the middle, and it shouldn't be too hard of a fight to make. Likely going to be on ESPN, likely going to be pay-per-view, undisputed heavyweight title. It looks like the fight's going to happen. Now, let's say it does happen. What does he do after this fight? If he wins, if he loses, he's going to come in the underdog. I don't believe he beats Tyson Fury, but he is so incredibly smart and has such a high boxing IQ. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled off the upset over Fury. But I think stylistically and size-wise, I think Fury is going to pull the win off. Now, let's say Usyk loses to Tyson Fury in his next fight. What are going to be his options after that? Well, it's tough to say what a guy is going to do following a loss. I think Usyk might take some time off, might let the landscape of the heavyweight division play out, and then go jump back in, potentially late in 2023. Again, it's very hard, and that's too far down the road to really predict. But let's see what Usyk would do if he wins and defeats Tyson Fury to become undisputed champion. Now, is there going to be a rematch clause in the contract? Let's say there isn't. Let's say Tyson Fury loses and doesn't want a rematch. What would Usyk do then? Well, that's another one. It's tough to say. He might want to take some time off. He might want to wait around for one of the champions. I personally feel that there's a good chance Usyk is going to take the best name possible. Now, let's take a look at who the options would be in that scenario. From the WBC, I think he might hold on to the WBC belt because his mandatory would be either Andy Ruiz Jr. or Luis Ortiz, or even Deontay Wilder could be the mandatory. Because those guys seem to want to fight, all fight each other. So that's a possibility right there. He could fight any one of those 3 guys probably towards the middle of next year. And I think Deontay Wilder comes out of that, and I think that's a huge fight between him and Usyk that Usyk would probably take. So if he defeats Tyson Fury, you're probably going to see Usyk holding on to the WBC belt, most likely. From the WBA, there's Daniel Dubois. not a big enough name after he were to beat Tyson Fury and a risk. I'd say he gives up the WBA title. From the IBF, Filip Hrgović. Again, not a big name. He might just say, I'm undisputed now. I don't need to hold on to the belts anymore. I'll give this one back. So he might give up that belt. And then in the WBO, it's going to be the winner of Parker and Joe Joyce that fight on September 24th, which I think is going to be Joe Joyce. But either way, neither guy is a big name. Kind of a bad matchup. So I feel like if Usyk wins, he's probably going to just hold on to the WBC belt and fight whoever comes out of the Ruiz, Ortiz, and Wilder scenario. You know, albeit if Wilder defeats Robert Helenius in October, which most people feel he will. I think that's the only way Usyk continues fighting, is if he has a potential showdown with either Andy Ruiz or Deontay Wilder. And I think it'd probably be Wilder. So I think that's the only way we see Usyk continue as a heavyweight, unless, of course, he were to defeat Fury and they have a rematch. Then he's probably still just holding on to the WBC belt, because I don't think whoever comes out of when the smoke clears out of the Wilder, Helenius, Ruiz, Ortiz clashes, the winners of those are probably fighting each other in the first half of next year. So they probably wouldn't be ready to challenge for the WBC title till the second half of next year. So I think Usyk probably holds on to the WBC belt and fights Fury in a rematch. And then if, you know, he's still champion, then he fights Wilder, Ruiz, whoever after that. So it just really, there's a lot of moving pieces, and it's so hard to predict. So Usyk, you know, I feel like he's going to lose to Tyson Fury, and then he's probably just going to try to get back into the mix. Or he'd be interested in a potential showdown with Canelo at cruiserweight, something along those lines. But it's just so hard to predict at his age and his accomplishments. If he loses, does he want to continue as a heavyweight? Does he want to go after the next generation of fighters, potentially set up a big fight down the road? That's the thing. We don't know. We don't know if Usyk is going to want to continue, and it also depends on how the fight goes with Fury. And if he beats Fury, is there a rematch clause? There's just so many unknowns here that it's too hard to predict. So that's why I didn't even bother running through the top 10. But I feel like he's going to fight Tyson Fury. I feel like he's going to lose. And from there, we won't know what Usyk will want to do after that. So that's it. That's what I got. That's the what's next for the undefeated, reigning, unified heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk, following his hard-fought 12-round split decision victory over Anthony Joshua in their rematch. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.